What's up, ladies and gentlemen? Welcome back to Bomo Bespoke. Today we tackle one of the most important aspects of making Chelsea boots, springing the vamp. Previously, we learned how to design and cut the pattern for Chelsea boots, and I did promise in that video that I was going to shoot a much more detailed video explaining how exactly springing of Chelsea boot vamps is done. This is that video, so pay attention. First of all, let's ask ourselves, why do we need to spring the vamp of Chelsea boots? Well, when you go to the market to buy leather, it comes as a flat two-dimensional material. But a boot doesn't lie flat. Boots patterns need to protrude vertically in the third dimension. Hence the need to curve that vamp, especially if you do not want any seams at the center line of your boot, which, as you know, is the hallmark and holy grail of Chelsea boots. So let's start. Firstly, place the base of the center line of your boot on a straight line and trace in the top line towards the elastic line. From this point right here where the center line begins to curve outwards, draw an imaginary right angle from that point. So your tracing of the elastic part will stop at that point, and that becomes your first pivot point. Now pivot until your vamp's center line intersects with the straight line again, and then you draw another imaginary right angle. Right angle, of course, to the straight line on which we are tracing. So that second point becomes your next pivot point, and you keep doing the same thing until you get to the instep. So third imaginary right angle, we draw in and pivot from there, pivot from that point until we get to our instep. Now the instep is where things start getting interesting. Firstly, take note of the angle that the top and bottom side of the elastic pattern makes, the angle that it makes, divide that angle into two, and then draw in your elastic line to that middle point. That point becomes your next pivot point, but instead of pivoting to the next intersection line, you pivot straight to the tip of this mean form, the tip of this vamp. So you maintain that there and draw in the rest of the elastic pattern, the rest of the seam, the side seam of the boot, and then just about 1 cm in on your feather edge. 1 cm in on your feather edge. Just stop right there. Don't go beyond 1 cm. Now, where the tip touches the center line is going to be our next pivot point, and what we are trying to do is to clear up that space at the top there. So using that as our next pivot point, we will move the vamp point to the center line. When we do this, we will draw in the feather edge from that vamp point all the way to the tip of the vamp. See that? Now, using the point where the point on the feather edge, which is basically the ball, will pivot again back to that initial 1 cm line that we made, and then basically just connect the rest of the feather edge like so. Now it is tempting to stop here and congratulate yourself, but don't do that, else you will fall short of some distance. What you need to do is to place the angle of the elastic or the side seam, and then place the vamp point on the center line, and then using the ball again as your pivot, pivot upwards until the tip touches the center line, and then with that you'll be able to elongate the feather edge to the tip just a little bit more, and that way you would have the appropriate length of your well-sprung Chelsea boot vamp. So congratulations, you've done it. What remains hereafter is to duplicate this if you didn't already fold your cardboard, and you would have had your wall sprung Chelsea boot vamp all done. So attempt this on your own. You find out that this is a much more easier method. There are several other methods of doing it, but I find that this is much easier to replicate. When you're all done, don't forget to add lasting allowances and then pulling allowances all around the side of your vamp. So that's it, ladies and gentlemen. Catch you on the next one. God bless you. Peace.